this. Oh, the Bynum. Oh. Hi, stranger.
Morning, David.
Morning, Bill. How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah, recovering from the stuff which I thought I was fully recovered from. Then I did a bunch of stuff and uh, realized I don't really have all that energy that I thought I had.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You got really knocked out, huh?
Well, it wasn't nearly as bad as some people I've heard talk about it, but you know,
Yeah.
I think I'm a little more fragile than I once was.
Do you think?
What's going on, David? I want some, but I don't know if I want any previews or not. So, uh,
Well, what could I say? I've avoided COVID so far, and I'd like to avoid it entirely.
yes, I am not recommending it. So,
No, I'm sure you're
we
not.
we had avoided it. So, and I
Uh,
think we really had a very mild experience, relatively speaking. So that's a good thing.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Madeline's okay. Oh, you're frozen, Bill. Oh, there you are.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Madeline's
But
okay.
yeah, she's good. So,
Good.
yeah, we have
Flower.
a lot of visiting going on. Her
Oh,
her
oh,
birthday is on the March 25th.
yeah.
So everybody's schedules are sort of rolling through. We have our youngest grandson who's gee, approaching 4 now. Hard to believe.
Wow.
Is
Yeah.
coming tomorrow with his
Uh-huh.
parents. So morning,
You're
Bill.
still among the living.
You are
Yeah.
among the living. We're very glad of that.
It's the good side of things.
Yeah, yes, it is. And here's Joanne.
Right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's
How
a
are you?
rainy day, rainy morning.
Oh, yeah? Gee, we don't have any rain over here.
Really, a lot, but I can see where the woman across the street went to work, and there's a big dry spot where her car was on the
Oh,
street, but then lots of wet pavement around her.
aha.
Weird.
Well,
All right, well,
that's Norwich for you.
that's no, it is Norwich. It's all right. It'll be good for the flowers. Like we need rain.
I yeah. Boy, I'll bet Madeline's got flowers.
There, yeah, well, daffodils are nice and some flowering bushes and stuff. So
Oh,
Oh, good. Good.
I was up in Western Mass on Sunday.
Mhm.
Friends live pretty far up in Ashfield, and they have tapped about 8 maple trees in their yard, and they're flowing again. The sap is running again because it's been below freezing.
Yeah.
And they had a storm the day before, and it was the most magical. And I grew up in New England, the most magical I'd ever seen. You went up in, they live kind of in the hills, and every tree was covered with really pretty thick ice. And it was beautiful, but we saw some bugs underneath some of those. That was not like, hey, I don't think that tree is going to do well this year. But it was pretty cool. And the kids got to tap the trees.
Oh,
Where there
wow.
had been holes, but things had fallen out. So we kind of went through the whole process. Tap the trees. They have a little evaporator outside. We did all of that. So
Oh, cool.
it was fun. But it felt more like January or February than
Yeah.
March. Yes. Yeah.
Well, Adam, as usual, has a meeting. So, you guys are it.
It's us. It's us.
Well, it's a good group.
Yes. I think
I'm glad to have you here.
Well, thanks.
This is the beginning of a new session,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
here we go. Bill, I want you to know that I have told every class that you made it possible for them to hear the Ding Shaw.
Well, I feel fully honored. It's ironic because I got a new computer and I haven't solved it yet, but I can't hear. The Ding Shaw is very faint on this computer. I have another computer that's the older edition of the same one, and it sounds great. And I have not discovered the difference between anything setting between the two. So
Isn't that strange? Huh?
Well, it sounded great for my new computer. So
Oh, good.
Well, I'm
not
glad.
a thing to it.
Okay, so questions or problems or issues around reverse breathing? With a particular movement? Not a one.
Hey, don't.
You're all perfect.
Yes.
I have a personal
No, we
problem.
didn't say we were perfect. We just said we didn't necessarily have questions.
Oh, okay. What, Bill?
My reverse breathing unreverses sometime. I don't know if it
Used to do that.
tricky. Yeah.
Yeah. It does. It takes a while to get that to be easy. And I was thinking this morning, because it was certainly an issue that I dealt with, how important it is, partially in reference to that, too, not to try too hard, because it needs to be as easy and comfortable a breath, or almost so, as your normal breathing. And so beginning to tighten up and push and strain at it is very counterintuitive. Not counterintuitive, counterproductive.
And you can't make it soft if you're straining.
No, you can't. And another thing I found was that when I really was trying too hard, not too much was happening with my organs. They weren't getting pushed back against the spine the way they're supposed to. So it's a really good lesson about not trying too hard, letting it develop to be an easier breath, and eventually you just do it like you do normal breathing. You'll find, but it may take a while. Everybody's different. Can't tell you how long, but you will if you keep working on it.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think for me, just a couple comments I had written on my my notes when I printed it out. One was the concept of pools of stagnant blood. I just kind of, I never had thought of before. Kind of. So, yeah, kind of releasing them. I'm still trying to get a grasp on that. I think the other was, it took me, this is more of a funny one. You will eventually find your butt dropping even with your knees as you go down. So it's like how you read the first couple of times I read that, I'm like, even with? It's like, oh, you mean even with? Yeah, and if you move your knees, your butt's gonna move, it's like, and you're just saying one shouldn't move faster than the other. It took me a little while to figure that out. What you saying?
And don't, that's another thing. I will say I can do that, but I don't do it consistently because it's not appropriate for my body every day. So pay attention to that.
Okay.
You can. One thing I found was because I went through a period of, oh, that's how it's supposed to be. So I would take to dropping to that level every time. And by the time I got to 4 or 5, I was worn out. I'd pushed too hard. So again, it's don't overdo.
Right. Yep.
So don't feel that you have to sink that low. If you can do it comfortably and not negatively affect the rest of the flow, great. But there's not going to be a severe penalty if you don't do it.
Good. No lashings. Okay.
Oh no, we need laughing.
All right. Okay.
Okay. So, any other thoughts or questions? Not at the moment. Okay. So, I want to look at activating the lower Dantian. Now, this is in every Taoist form of Qigong. This is a part of its procedures. And there are so many specific methods that can do this. But what I would say about activating the lower Dantian in Gods is that you simply take all the opening and closings in your body and the energy from your toes, your fingertips, and your head the whole time you're doing Gods. Whenever you're stretching out, you're having the sense of the energy coming, opening with your breath, going from the center, your lower Dantian, to your periphery, your extremities. And then when you're closing, when your arms are bending in, everything is coming back to the center. So I know that's not new, but it bears keeping in mind. And keep in mind that in your body, you can do multiple things at one time, actually thousands of functions simultaneously. So don't get too focused on whether you're doing it all or not. Now, the fastest way to get your Dantian to open is to have a master transmit it to you so you can do it. But unfortunately, I am neither a master nor can I do it on Zoom. So, what you want to do is get a very, very regular rhythm of going from your 5 extremities to the dantian, and from your dantian to your extremities. And you can do this with reverse breathing, or you can do it with normal breathing. It wouldn't matter. However, reverse breathing really will make it a little bit easier, because the closing of the abdomen and the way you do it will make it much easier to get the qi from the legs up to your dantian. So, if you can manage it, stand. And step out into your basic structure. And begin to do reverse breathing, and see if you can get the center to periphery flow going in both directions. You want to maintain this rhythm. Now, to whatever extent you can actually feel the qi in your fingers, the crown of your head, and your toes, you want that to come into your lower dantian and then go out from your lower dantian. And you want to repeat that however many times it takes, until that can give you a clear and concrete way of feeling your lower dantian. And now just lift your arms out in front of your body, and using the bending and extending of your arm to cause the inside of your dantian to expand and contract. In other words, you want to do center to periphery with your lower dantian. You're doing it with your body. It's just about how to feel your lower dantian, and the best way to power up the lower dantian. Coordinating your bending and extending with the breath. And then one more thing. Be very aware of your mind at the crown of your head. And Then let it drop down until it sits on your lower dantian like a hen sitting on an egg. This doesn't mean that you go to your lower dantian and then you do it all over again. No, you go down like an elevator. Start on the 10th floor and go down to the 5th, where the lower dantian is. And then you don't move. When you have your mind centered in your lower dantian, and that's helping you to feel, make sure you're doing the center to periphery stuff. You want to do it until your lower dantian starts to heat up. Once you get a concrete feeling of the chi in it, then every single time you open your lower dantian, your chi shoots to your 5 extremities. And every single time you close your dantian, your extremities shoot your chi to your lower dantian. Now another method you could try which may help you, which is a very, very classic one, is that you start and you just let your chi start dropping down your central channel so it arrives in your lower dantian. And then you keep on dropping continuously for 10 or 15 minutes, however long it takes, until you start getting the sensation of heat in your lower dantian. You don't have to have that heat go to a ridiculous extent. There are other practices in Taoism that do that, but you just have to have that sense of heat or something that is very solid in your lower dantian. Heat is the most reliable. You want to just let that heat grow. And regardless of everything else you are doing in Gods, you continue to do this from the very first movement to the last movement. And this will help you to get your mind rooted in the lower dantian. And making your chi go from center to periphery and periphery to center will usually help you to power up, to get more energy and more heat, so that as the energy keeps increasing. But in order to do that, you have to make sure the center of your dantian remains stable. And some people ask, why not use the perineum or the root chakra of yoga instead of the lower dantian? But the reason why is that the root chakra of yoga is helpful in terms of motion up and down the body. But in terms of reaching every place in your body at once, that's what the lower dantian does. The lower dantian is the only place where every energy that connects to you goes, and it is the main switchboard. Now, the trick to this is that you have to keep this thing going from the top down to your lower dantian the whole time you do gods. You're never going to lose awareness of your lower dantian. The Chinese phrase is, your intention is at your lower dantian. So you go through all 6 movements without losing this connection. So pause and relax. So what could you feel in your lower dantian?
Well, I could feel something, but it wasn't consistent. Maybe my concentration isn't there this morning. I'm not sure. It took quite a while for things to get moving. Eventually they did. I could more easily feel the legs, toes, arms, fingers. But as I said, it came and went.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps part of that is paying attention to reverse breathing in part, and then my mind switching to the me moving around and, etc.
Yeah, that was giving you a lot all at once. So again, you might think about how you could take that one step at a time and not
Yeah.
not overwhelm yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I have the advantage of having done reverse breathing before, so I feel like you can get there, Bill. I know exactly where you are. Been there, done that.
We all
Walk
have.
around. So yeah, I was able to kind of kick it in, and I felt pretty consistent about it. The image of your brain sitting on an egg in your dantian is fascinating, but it worked.
Yeah,
Exactly what you meant. Don't crush that egg.
absolutely.
And yeah, have that awareness. It was also fascinating because my right knee just had this little kind of click, little problem, and it solved itself
Huh?
through that practice. I mean, it kind of clicked a little and then kind of kicked into place, which I thought was interesting. And I don't think it was just the physical movement that did that.
No, I think
Yeah.
you were getting the energy to move
Yeah,
through this.
exactly. I think so. Yeah.
It's interesting, speaking of that, when you begin to get really conscious that the energy is moving through the back of the knee,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and it took me a while to feel
Yes,
the
yes.
energy
It's
moving
still,
through
yeah,
the knee.
yep, yep, yep.
But then all of a sudden, and it was all of a sudden, one day I said, oh, it's moving through the back of my knee.
Yep,
That's where it's
yep.
supposed to be.
Right.
And I don't know whether I had just finally gotten my intent focused or exactly what happened, but it did take a while.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I could feel more of the movement towards the Dantian from by way in that image of dropping on the elevator was helpful. And from the hands and with the feet and legs, I was feeling rooted, but I wasn't feeling energy coming up in as much in the lower part of my body,
Mhm.
even though it felt very
Yeah.
solid. And so
Well, the lower part always is the more difficult and takes a little bit longer. So, but you are obviously feeling something, so that's good. Um, it's it's difficult sometimes to find the balance between what relaxing, releasing, lengthening, um, and still being feeling supported by the legs.
mhm.
Um, we're so used to sort of tightening up the muscles and standing up, and learning to release and let go through the legs, is often a little difficult for us.
Mhm.
So it'll again, that's something that comes with time and practice.
Yeah, I think with my practice, and with practicing the reverse breathing, I've been focusing on sort of an expanding and pulling in, expanding and pulling in, and then this exercise is more, having the energy pulling in uh continually. So yeah, so there's uh kind of a switch there to I don't not that I have the habits that it's like riding a bicycle, but it's a little what this was a little bit different task than what I've been doing.
Yeah, it's that getting your mind to really be extended into the lower dantian and still aware of the energy flowing in and out to the extremities. Um, yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So, um, if you want to get the lower dantian to charge up with more energy, just remember as your arms bend, bring the energy from your five extremities into your lower dantian. And as they stretch or extend, let it go from your lower dantian out to your five extremities. This is, for example, one of the first chi techniques that Chan Buddhism in China imported from Taoism. It is also something that is done in Zen in Japan, although the Zen people usually do not get most of the Neigong energetics that were in Chan Buddhism. It simply was never transmitted across the ocean. So we're going to do another little practice with this. So stand up if you will. So I'm going to want you to do just 4 repetitions of each of the movements of gods, but before you do that, have the energy from the crown of your head moving down the center of your body to your lower dantian. And it's difficult to say how long it's going to take before you get it down to your lower dantian. It's pretty individual. But you have to start with this. And remember, you have the whole 6 movements of gods to get it. Maybe in the first movement you don't get all the way down to your lower dantian. Maybe you're only going down halfway or a quarter of the way. It doesn't really matter, especially when you have 20 repetitions. So let's just say you have plenty of time to get it to happen. Remember, until your mind is stable enough in your lower dantian, you don't want to try and start bringing the energy from the center to periphery and from your dantian out to your 5 extremities. The first thing that happens is your mind must be in your dantian. And when your mind gets to your lower dantian, let it just stabilize there. So somehow your dantian becomes the root of all your movements, just as it is the root of everything that physically happens in all parts of your body. Now let's say that you are able to go down to your lower dantian. So you begin movement 2. And as your arms bend, bringing the energy from the 5 extremities into your lower dantian. And as they stretch, release the chi from your lower dantian to your 5 extremities. As you bend, bring it in. And as you stretch, bring it out. Any sort of luck, this will start creating heat inside your lower dantian. And with that heat, as you do reverse breathing, will help your internal organs to soften. And the sensation of doing reverse breathing affecting your spine becomes greater. Remember, when you bring your arms, bend your arms, you're going from your abdomen to your spine. And as you stretch your arms, you're going from your spine to your abdomen. But always keeping your mind dropping continuously to your lower dantian. Now this has a parallel for many of you who do Tai Chi. This is something that you're also supposed to be doing in Tai Chi the whole time. But it's very difficult, because to get your intention stabilized in your dantian, so that every single time you do a fast movement or a tricky or hard movement, you don't lose that root, is difficult. But if you can do this, one part of the meaning of stillness in movement and movement in stillness, because this rooting in the lower dantian will naturally cause your mind to become more quiet and still, while at the same time the movements themselves will make you much more aware of your external environment. Now just stand for a minute And try to feel whatever it is inside you that can recognize when your mind is rooted in your lower dantian. This becomes something the whole time you're doing Qigong that you never forget. This can create a very stable form of internal relaxation. Pause and relax. So how was doing that with the form, with gods?
Yeah, I felt it was very powerful. Um, I and at some points even kind of more. I think at 4, when your hands come down to your dantian and then go out, I really felt it. Right, there were certain times when it's just more noticeable, I guess is the word. At some point, I felt like, you know, those images when they're trying to focus on people's hearts, and it's like, you know, a body shape with that heart right there, you know. And I kind of just imagined a body shape with the dantian right there. You know, as you were saying something about it, it just kind of. But I think towards the end, yeah, when I was focusing on it, it felt like a physical and therefore also a kind of energetic and spiritual kind of centering, right? As the dantian is the center. And I don't always feel that it is. I mean, I know it is. But the bottom and top of our bodies are so different. But it really felt like a centering. And the rest of my, all of my extremities were tingling. And then that felt kind of solid in the middle. So that was great.
Good. Yeah, that sounds like it's really beginning to come together for you, and that's being able to keep that awareness of the lower dantian is really, really valuable. Good.
But I did not do 7 for 2 reasons. One is your math had, you said, oh, it'll be 20 repetitions. And I'm like, okay, 5 times 4 is 20. But I'm still so bad at 7 that I was afraid I would lose what I had gained through doing 2 through 6. And I wanted to feel that and not just feel that awkwardness of, oh, what am I doing now? So anyway, we'll do that at another time. But that was, yeah.
That was a good reason.
Yeah, it just felt like I would lose more than I would gain.
That was good.
I tried to be very present with my mind in the or on the lower dantian, and I found that through most of it, I had rather large amount of tingling going on all over the place to the extent that it was almost ticklish. But whatever.
Yeah. Good.
Well, I was happy with, you know, with that aspect of it, and I didn't go too much farther than just trying to keep my mind at the lower Dantian and just enjoying the tingling. And I
Good.
go at that and not overthink the other 23 things. Yeah.
Right.
Don't go there. Don't go there. That's right.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to not, to push my mind away from all those, as you say, the 23 things. I think there's about 79. But, yeah, I was able to feel a warmth in there that
Great.
consistent and built a little bit. And it did feel well centered. And even with 7, for me, which, I'm sure I have a long way to go with it, but it's been feeling a little bit different lately. So,
Mhm.
yeah, but I think it's very useful just to put your mind with the Dantian and
Good. Good.
not worry as much about all these other things that seem to be, not totally random, but in various combinations at different times.
It all comes together eventually. As I said earlier, um, the mind and body is capable of doing enormous number of things simultaneously if you don't think about it too much. So I was going to just for a moment talk through the second method of reverse breathing. And what I want to say is I'm really giving it to you as information, and I'll send the notes, of course, but I'll give it to you as information for some time in the future when you reach a point where you feel you want to explore it, so that you have some guidance, because I'm probably not going to keep teaching forever.
Okay.
There probably will come a point where I stop. Jane's not sure when that is, but I want you to have the information so that if you want to try going further with the reverse breathing, you have some reference. So the first type, of course, which you all are doing at this point to some degree, greater or lesser, is just inside the torso and is definitely the best way to start. However, if you want to start using reverse breathing for a lot of high performance, then the second one is slightly better. But the first one is easier, and that's why we start with it. Now, the second one is going to be harder to be able to do. Where the second one is used more especially when you're doing practices to activate the brain. It is used especially for that reason. It's also done in martial arts a lot because it does actually join your arms and your legs, so that when you have the belly moving up, it helps you have whole body movement, because the bending and stretching of your arms and your legs is directly keyed into the brain, and the breath is actually causing your arms and your legs to move in a very coordinated fashion. So rather than having a focus on just coordinating your body, all you really have to get is how to coordinate your breath inside your body. And you will move you will more or less be coordinated when you move. So it's easier to start with the first type of reverse breathing and get it together in the abdominal cavity and not try to engage the arms and legs. Just as it's generally easier in what they call the micro and macrocosmic orbit techniques, to do the microcosmic orbit first and the macrocosmic orbit later, because there is more you have to deal with, and that requires a greater level of skill. Now, you want to build your practice in stages. So let's talk about what that means. So if we think about this as being my spine, and this is the front, in front of my internal organs, and my skin is out there. What you want to do when you start to take all your internal organs right back to your tailbone, right back to your sacrum, and right back into your lower dantian. You then take them there and you pull them up until they get to the diaphragm, and then you pull them back down and you drop them out so that you refill your belly again. So the diaphragm has a ball in its normal state, and it's going to have a ball down below. And what you're going to do is make that lower ball first pop out. Second, you have to bring it in and along the spine and up. And then you have to make it go out. And then you have to bring it into the spine and bring it down the spine and pop it out again, which releases your internal organs. So how you tell if anyone is doing this too strongly is very simple. If you feel any excess pressure building up in your abdomen anywhere, then you're doing it too strongly and you need to back off. Of course, this has to be built up in stages. But for now, let's just stick with the first method. So I'll send that to you.
Good.
But we're not going to try to do it.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
At this
That's
point.
interesting though.
At this
Do you
point.
want us to try or not?
I think it's better if you don't at this
Okay.
point. I think it's better if you stick with the first method, and until you, and this will be different for all of you because Joanne and Adam do have a lot more experience with it, but it has to be, you have to feel that that first method is absolutely
Mhm.
integrated and natural, and you're not having to think about it or do it in
Yeah.
any inappropriate way. It's just part of what you do. Then you could play around with changing it to the second method, which is, I think, more powerful, but definitely much more difficult.
Mhm. That makes sense.
But that doesn't mean that if you get to a point where you feel like you are ready to try it, then do. But the nice thing is that the first method works well enough that it's not absolutely necessary that you do the second method.
Uh-huh.
So, um, any other questions or thoughts at the moment?
Actually, I do have one, David,
Sure.
on 7. I've been trying to work to uh, connect my body more in the movement. But if you could just demonstrate once or twice, um, um, I think that would be helpful. I sense that I'm turning and moving my body a little bit too much, but I'm trying to trigger something, so I'd like to I could go back and look look through the videos, but I'm lazy.
Sure. No, I could do that.
It's
That's
not easy to find them. Yeah.
not.
When was that? Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I realized it's too late now, but probably should have put, names or descriptions on them as well as their uh, connecting gobbledygook. So sure, that's well, maybe.
Oh,
Let's
Joanne, you've been joined.
I know. Scruffy here likes to sit on my back. Look at that.
let's see. I was just thinking that maybe I can be closer, have a closer view here, since the movement really is all occurring from this point up.
Okay.
And one of the things we fall into is trying to add
Yep.
sinking and rising and whatever else into it. So just give me a moment.
Yep.
David, can you do it from the side? I feel like
Sure.
I'm trying so hard to do crane neck that I'm stretching it.
So you do have to create that crane neck,
Hmm.
and it is also continuously rotating
Mm-hmm.
through this movement. And there is a certain amount of backward movement, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
bending back like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's helpful.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Believe me, I'm understanding your issue with this. It is suddenly a very different movement from everything else. It seems like a real change
Yeah.
suddenly.
Yeah, it's the trick of getting the upper body to move without the lower body,
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
tagging along for the trip,
And I remember Bruce saying Um, the one of the signs that you're doing it correctly or doing it well is that you feel absolutely completely rooted and no sense of imbalance whatsoever.
Mm.
And that's kind of a good signal because that if there's any tendency to feel imbalance, then you're probably doing too much. For one thing, is one possibility. Um, so don't try too hard. Um, keep the movements small enough that you can coordinate them.
Mhm.
Any other questions or thoughts? Okay, good class, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, class.
You,
You.
Have a good week, Bill. It's Bynum. It's nice to have you back, and I hope you can
yes.
figure your
Feel better?
computer out.
Yes.
Yep. And we're fine. We don't have any, we've got no breaks here. We just keep going, right?
We do actually.
In here. We've had break. I'm not asking for break. I just need to
No.
write down my schedule.
I am going to Washington for a few days, but it doesn't interfere with this class at all.
Okay. Yep. And I'm going away to Cleveland for the final women's basketball 4 and to stay through the solar eclipse.
Ooh. Ah.
But it's, yeah, I leave on a Thursday and I get back on a Tuesday. So,
All right.
so that works. Well, David, don't go to Washington via the bridge.
Oh no. No. No,
Terrible.
we're flying into
Oh,
Washington.
you're fine.
So
Uh-huh.
we're going down. Our um, nephew is opening a new restaurant.
Ooh, exciting.
The son of the real chef in the family.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is it in DC or is it in?
Oh yeah, it's right in DC. It's called Bar Del Monte,
Oh, wait.
and he's actually just been open about a week and doing pretty well, I understand.
Great.
Good.
And
Ardel Monte.
Bar Del Monte, yes.
Okay.
um, and he is a very good chef himself. So this case the son is doing as well as his father, I think.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, his father is so successful, it's crazy. I mean, he's got more than one restaurant and he has a vineyard in California and a bakery in California and
Wow.
he makes vermouth in New Jersey. Yeah,
Eh,
he doesn't want to be bored, I guess.
I guess not. Good Lord, even to me that sounds overwhelming.
Well, me too. Okay, guys, have a good
All
week.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
See y'all next week. Yeah.
Yep, take
Yeah.
care.
Bye.
So I'm sorry we don't have Adam today.
Yes. I am sorry too, although I have right before this call, I got right before this Zoom, I got 3 different emails asking for something right away. And I'm like, I can't do that, but I do need to scoot soon. It's like, okay, you know what it is? It's like, okay, Easter's coming. No one's working Friday. Everyone's trying to squeeze everything in, or they're going over their final to-do list to remember they forgot to tell me something. Or, I mean, somebody asked for something that, 6 months ago, I said, you can't have that. But anyway, they want to get paid only via Venmo, and Warrior Sisters League doesn't do that.
Huh.
We need to send a check, or I could cash a check and give it to them in cash, but they live somewhere else. So anyway, it's just like, what? Really? Right away? I know you need money, but I told you 6 months ago. But anyway, it's that kind of thing, craziness. And then somebody else really wants to talk to me, so it's a little worrisome. I have been trying to only use my legs, my bottom half. It's been good. It's been challenging. I'm still trying to get back into. I'm still struggling a bit with the that middle section, but you put it on tape for me so I can go back. I do find that I'm getting better at whole body movement. By going back and forth between saying, okay, sometimes I need to just actually start with, and I'll go up to just kind of where the subdued tiger is, because I find that when I only use my legs, I forget follow and focus. Or it was very helpful for you last time, like my body anyway was really going back when it shouldn't have been. And I think that was the lack of arms, not because I don't do that when I have my arm, right, when I'm using my arms. So I think it's been helpful in just kind of saying, okay, I'll do this, then I'll go back and I'll do this. Some are, monkey was a little challenging to do without that movement.
Yeah, it is.
But so I am doing that practice. I do hope to, although this week is not going to be relaxing. It's not vacation week. It's kind of, lots of family stuff.
Yeah. Well,
but I just keep trying on that, and then trying to, once I feel like I have, I'm better at, 43 to 53 or whatever, then I'll work on the bottom half. But I really need to get the whole thing down before I start doing that.
Absolutely.
So, other than that, I guess maybe just as you were saying earlier, just kind of focus. I think that there's certainly been times over the years where focusing on the Dantian within the Tai Chi is clearly important, and we never forget it. But maybe this class makes it more.
Yeah.
It makes me more aware. Yeah.
And it goes along with everything else, but it is really important if you can do that, because I think it enhances the whole body movement.
I think you're right. Yeah, I feel that you're right. I know you're right.
Yeah.
But I feel it. Yeah.
And it's, I think, part of what eventually makes whole body movement just so natural and integral, that you just always do it. And if you don't do it, your body says that's wrong.
There's something there's something going on. Right. It's a process of constant awareness. Once something becomes part of it, it's like, oh, there's something new. You're going, wait a minute. Why? Maybe I didn't get that right, or didn't understand that, or oops, I forgot that, or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
So I will keep on that. I don't have any specific questions right now, but just those sharing those observations helps.
Yeah. Good. Well, good luck dealing with your issues.
I feel like them are lovely, right? Somebody called and said, explain this whole situation, and they call me and want to interview me. I think they should interview you, but it's somebody I've already been giving resources to. So but I love this person, so I'm happy to call them. But kind of there's a few other what's going on, and I have a bunch of reports that are all due today. So a lease I'm working on, and the negotiations that are, they're not stuck, but sometimes people expect things to happen faster than they can.
Yeah.
But we want to do what, we needed this yesterday. It's like, well, it kind of, things don't work that way,
No. And why didn't you talk to me 2 days ago?
Well, some of it is. Somebody said, well, we've been talking about this since January. And it's like, well, if you needed that in February, you should have made it more clear, you
Yeah.
know, that was a priority for you, because I didn't see it as a priority, you know, but you know,
Yeah.
yeah. But you know,
Well,
it's all process. We're human beings. What can I say?
yeah. Keep breathing.
That kind of, yeah, that's the condition we're dealing with, all of us.
Indeed.
Anyway, thank you, David. Thank you very much. I will get a check off. We have to get to the post office today. So
Okay.
other things.
Great. Thank you,
So-
Joanne.
Good. Yeah. Say hi to Jane for me.
I will.
Take care.
Have a good week.
Yeah. When do you go to Washington?
A week from Friday.
Hopefully there'll be nice weather.
Yeah, hopefully.
It is like kind of going into a different climate, isn't it? You're like,
Yes.
was it last year? No, the year before we drove to North Carolina. It was fascinating. I mean, you know, the other end of Connecticut was different. You know, by the time we got to New Jersey, we were like, oh my goodness. Because by the time we got to North Carolina, we're in a totally different climate. But
Yeah.
yeah. So hopefully, maybe the cherry blossoms will be past, but it's a pretty
Yeah,
city.
it probably will. They're
Yeah.
early this year.
They are.
Yeah.
But it is a pretty city in the spring. So,
It is.
all right. Enjoy.
We will. Take care.
Okay, great. I'm sure you will. Bye-bye.
Bye.